So one of the things that I discovered pretty early on is an article called "Living Intentionally: 3 Steps to Gaining Agency." Being agentive is something that I've been orienting towards since reading that, and a lot of being agentive involves recognizing your blind spots and your biases. And one of the ones that I had, without even realizing it, was the concept of forgiveness and self forgiveness. And there were times when I used the word forgiveness, I forgive you or whatever, but I didn't know what it meant. So I would just, for the most part, I would just ignore it. It was just this thing that other people used. Uh, Another part of being agentive, learning to use outside perspectives. So as a part of gaining outside perspectives on what my biases and my blind spots were, that was pointed out, and I was forced to kind of define it. Um, and forgiveness is useful when looking back. A being's past self could not have oriented towards a more optimal result with the knowledge, experience, and skills that they had. Um, and it's not useful to hold any blame at that point. It's not going to do any good. It's just going to prevent you from focusing on the things you can do. Yeah. So a different way of reframing the exact same thing that I just said is preventing outcome bias. And outcome bias is when you judge a situation based on the actions taken and not on the outcome. Mm-hmm. And in this specific scenario, I had been pretty extroverted, for a very long time. I perceived it to be agentive to make me extroverted, or to act in an extroverted manner, I should say. So I hadn't really worried about introverted friends. Like, I didn't relate to them. I had been extroverted for so long that I forgot that it actually takes energy to be extroverted. And whenever life stressors come up, and they're going to, they're definitely going to, it's harder for me to maintain that extroverted personality and be super friendly and smiley and whatever. So I kind of revert back to an introverted manner. But like, it's hard to relate to extroverted people when you're thinking in an introverted manner. So I didn't really have anybody that I could relate to. One of the things that happened as a result of me behaving in an extroverted fashion for so long, was that some of my friends who were extremely extroverted, behaved extroverted at least, they couldn't relate to a me that was more introverted, and so I didn't have anybody left that I could relate to that could relate to me, which kind of decreased my social network and made it really hard to operate for a while. And looking back, there's I behaved in the fashion that was optimal at that time. I didn't have the knowledge, hey, let's go make some introverted friends just in case one day I don't really feel like going out to a party. I want to stay home and draw. Like, I can go draw with a friend. And I still have the companionship, but I'm not having to expend all of this energy in maintaining the social facade of cheerful bubbliness. So I began looking for introverted friends. And it's important to note that whenever I decided to be extroverted, and behave in an extroverted fashion, that I didn't have the knowledge that there would be life stressors that would have such an impact on me that I couldn't function in an extroverted manner. Looking back though, I didn't know that. There's no use in blaming myself. Self forgiveness, I didn't have that knowledge, so I went towards the best possible outcome that I could have at the time, which was finding extroverted friends and focusing on extroverted friends because I perceived extroversion to be such a useful agentive trait. Um, so, in summary, orienting towards agency, has allowed me to learn concepts like self-forgiveness and outcome bias. Like, I never would have known those if it hadn't have been for gaining an outside perspective. And that's all part of being agentive. Like, you have to be intentional and you have to think about these things and say, okay, well, maybe there are some fallacies I'm not quite aware of in myself that I need to go get an outside perspective on.